Hello, my name is Dante Renee from the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 2007's, at least that's the copyright on the DVD itself from Shakarama Cinema, but on IMDb it says 2004. This is the film Chainsaw Sally. Chainsaw Sally right here, and you can see some autographs from some of the director and Chainsaw Sally herself, April, that I got some years back on this DVD. Chainsaw Sally, and it says "Killing is in her blood," and this is the back of the DVD here. And this is a low budget modern horror film. And this is directed by Jimmy O, and I believe also written by Jimmy O, and his wife April Sally Burrell is Chainsaw Sally in the film. Now, there are a couple interesting things here. Number one, they kind of independently made, after this movie, the husband and wife independently made a kind of their own TV show, which was, straight to DVD. They did 2 seasons. Season 1 is readily available through Troma Distribution, and then season 2, I can't find it all. I never saw season 2, but I really enjoyed season 1. It was a bunch of, I believe 30-minute episodes, kind of in the world of this film right here that I'm going to talk about. So there was this Chainsaw Sally type of universe, out there, really independently low budget made. I believe the second season of Chainsaw Sally that they released on DVD was independently and maybe not through Troma. So there's, maybe why the first season is so readily available. But this film right here, put out by Shakarama, as I stated, another very interesting thing about this film is that it also stars Gunnar Hansen from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course, also Herschel Gordon Lewis from many, many films that he directed, like 2000 Maniacs and Blood Feast and so on and so forth. So it's a lot bigger than just a quick, 30-second cameo. They have some pretty substantial side roles in this movie. So very, very impressive for a horror film this low budget. Because it definitely seems very low budget to have some big names in here believing in it as well. And as a matter of fact, one of the special features has a Gunnar Hansen interview and an H.G. Lewis interview. So wow. Let's get into this film here. It says "Killing is in her blood." I love that cover of her, if you can see that appropriately so. Just love the way she looks, her legs, just her hair, dirty it looks and sleazy. There it is, Chainsaw Sally. Now, Chainsaw Sally is, if you remember, kind of in the early, I don't know, I kind of look at, there was this real kind of ample time for DVD of straight to DVD movies, indie films, really kind of in a way past the video store era, and kind of now the video store era was just, DVDs that you could, buy in stores like Best Buy or Amazon or any other deep discount, .com or any of these Movies Unlimited, okay, oldies.com, all these places at this time. So a lot of indie filmmakers could kind of get distribution, even though the films were so low budget. Of course, they were never going to get theatrical distribution, but now the video stores became your home. And so I have a couple other movies on this YouTube page that are part of this era and of kind of low budget indie horror. And here's one of them right here, Chainsaw Sally. Interestingly enough, the TV shows that I mentioned previously here are talked more about than this movie, it seems, at least on YouTube. So it's my pleasure to talk about this film. Chainsaw Sally has just this awesome low-budget charm that I love. It just... the sound is low budget, and the way it looks and the way it feels, and I just love it. I love that world. We have kind of a past, a disturbing family past, and we have rape and murder and dismemberment and themes of good guys versus bad guys and vengeance. We also kind of have, in a way, the theme of superhero, theme of it, and we have a librarian, a flamboyantly seeming gay brother, a woman who plays two sides in a small town. I love the small town in this film. The prospect of making this small town into a much larger world, larger, much more financially successful world, and so the concept of building in this town, and so the focal point is this town, and the townspeople there, but also the prospect of building and making it bigger, and the people that want that and the people that do not want that. We also have heavy inspiration, obviously, from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, of course, we have Gunnar Hansen in here, but just what's interesting is that the character of Chainsaw Sally is a complex character in many ways. She almost has two sides to her personality, and her personality is complex and interesting. But she also loves horror movies, and she has a, I mean, the set design for where she lives, where with her brother, is just wild. I mean, there is a strong punk vibe to this film. There is a strong underground vibe to this movie. We have kind of bare bones punk, balls to the wall, blood and gore and special effects, low budget, but disgusting at times, and very, very interesting and cool. And so we have an aspect where, you know, well, actually, this movie is rated R. I thought it was going to be unrated. So interesting. It's rated R for horror, violence, and gore, language, some sexuality, and nudity. Great set design to this house. I mean, if you were thinking it would almost be the punk, more modern version of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family house in many regards. And we have a film that does have characters. It does have relationships, family, acquaintances, friends, researchers, financiers, and we have all of this happening in this town. We have some interesting effects, you know, kind of the awesome low budget effects of the kind of the film look, and we are taking trips into the past and into the and then from the present, and then seeing the connections between those. We have a soundtrack in this film that is heavy on punk music and garage band, like not garage band from you know, Apple. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just kind of garage bands, you know, and underground, and some of the punk bands like Calabrese and stuff like that. I mean, there are some pretty well-known underground punk bands, if you're into the punk genre, all displayed throughout this movie. And in the closing credits, I absolutely love the song there, I believe, by Calabrese. I believe it's by them. So a great punk soundtrack on here as well. And we also have some dark score throughout. And there's just something about the way the lead, April, talks and delivers her lines, and there's a definite strong sleazy sexuality to her, with her panties and her garters, and she, you know, her butt, her thick thighs, her pigtails, pitch black hair. I mean, the kind of the goth punk look to her. And you know, we do have some nudity in here. We have a very all in the kind of the violent realm. We have some torture in here. We have a very bloody version of the game Twister. Anybody who's into BDSM will also find a scene in here quite maybe a little bit wilder than what you're into. let's just say on the German side of things. So there are some pretty shocking scenes in here that you're not expecting. Maybe at first you might think, oh, there might not be that much gore, and then all of a sudden, yes, there is. Now, with the low budget nature of the film, there are some great shots in here. There's an amazing, they're great shots of like the moon, the sun going down that reminded me of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They even have a play on a bit on the sounds from the original Texas film. But we have this great shot that's mimicked at the in the film. But it's kind of duplicated after the credits, the closing credits of the film as well, which is this great shot of Chainsaw Sally in a shadow, and kind of this red screen shadow that almost reminded me a bit of the whorehouse in the original Hostel, and also kind of the whorehouse in Summer Job, which I've looked at on this YouTube page. And great stuff with lighting in this film as well, and shadows. And also the aspect, while we do have kind of a gore film, splatter film, slasher film, we also have the aspect a bit of a supernatural haunted house film as well, at least in concept. And as I stated earlier, a bit of entrance into maybe the background of the slasher film. We, in terms of comparing it to superheroes of sorts and morality and ethics. We also have anybody who's fan of the horror host. We do have a real horror host being watched on television in this film. This is 2007's Chainsaw Sally, or 2004. But on the DVD it says 2007. This is it right here, folks. I bought this, my gosh, probably around 2007. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like Chainsaw Sally. Please feel free to check out all of my personally made films at vimeo.com/poopy diarrhea. That's POOPY diarrhea. Thank you so much, and good night.